Take a moment and think about just how many times and in how many contexts you've heard the phrase, "Life is about the journey, not the destination." It's a sentiment echoed by poets, by theologians, by the occasional rock band, and probably also by your high school guidance counselor. Now, if you're thinking, is Tristan really about to make a connection between this Hallmark card cliché and cutting mechanics? Of course I am. Join me for another installment of TZOpinions. Too often, when I watch folks practicing longsword, I see this bizarre obsession with scoring a touch. Now, granted, that's the focus of 99.9% of all tournament objectives, strike the other person. So it's no great mystery why people practice with that objective in mind. Strike the other person, strike the other person, strike the other person. Depending on who you ask, source-wise, this may even seem historically appropriate. For example, the author of the Nuremberg Housebook, aka Codex Döbringer, or manuscript 3227a, certainly seems to share this obsessive attitude towards the Vorschlag, or the seizing of psychological initiative through physical means. This, however, is not quite what I'm concerned with, as I think it's a sound strategy to attempt as soon as possible to get the opponent on the defensive. What I am concerned with, however, is how this is physically executed. Here's where cutting mechanics enter the equation. Now, as an aside, I should clarify that this is not just about cutting. This could just as easily become a rant about thrusting, or slicings, or grappling, or footwork, or really it's about any of the moving pieces that you yourself are responsible for. For me, since I speak so often about cutting and the efficacy and efficiency thereof, I'm going to use that as an example, but you can extrapolate how you will. So, cutting mechanics should remain consistent, regardless of the context of your sword work. Whether you're using a dull sword-like object to make contact with another person, or using a sharp sword to destroy a testing medium. The entire system of moving parts, from your feet, through your body, to your fingertips, and to the sword itself, should remain consistent. You see, the goal, at least as far as I'm concerned as a teacher, is for you to be in total control of every aspect of your movement. And I don't mean to use the word control as the empty martial arts buzzword that it's become. Every wizened old master wants their pupil to be in control. Just ask Yoda.
Control, control, you must bring control.
But what does this mean? For cutting, this means not just getting the sword from point A to point B in an arc-like motion with little regard for the space within which it's traveling, but again considering the entire mechanical system so as to be in total control of you yourself and the sword in your hand or hands through every arc minute, every arc second of the journey. We're coming back to the original idea. You see, a lot of people get concerned that focusing on cutting, and by this I mean test cutting or cutting through an object, will make practitioners more dangerous, unduly so. After all, in drilling or sparring, one can't, and obviously one shouldn't, attempt to pass a piece of steel through another human. Hitting harder and harder would cause all sorts of unnecessary trauma, and nobody wants to face off with someone who swings like they're trying to crush your mask into your skull, and I'm sure no one wants to be seen as that person either. But this focus on speed and on impact has less to do with proper cutting mechanics than many realize. If one focuses on the journey, and hopefully by now it's clear that by this I mean how one's motion is affected, rather than just the destination, that is, contact with object with sword, one can cultivate both rapid acceleration and rapid deceleration. These are two sides of the same coin, after all. This is why, in my defense of test cutting as a practice method, I say constantly that it's equally about danger and safety. It's about striking and it's about not striking. It's your accelerator pedal and it's your brakes pedal. You ought not to have one without the other, but far too often I see too much focus given to the former and not the latter. And this is what makes people inappropriately dangerous and reckless in their motions. There are, of course, further threads to explore here. The how, obviously, and the many whys beyond just cutting or not cutting. There are a lot of tactical implications here, a lot of techniques that can be optimized as a result, but only after this fundamental issue is resolved. So, the next time you pick up a sword, try not to just think of getting it to its inevitable destination, but conscientiously and methodically driving it along its journey. You may find that everything else starts falling into place. We'll explore that soon enough, but until then, thanks for watching.